Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to Starbucks. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Jim. Jim, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning. Hope you had a good weekend.
It's a wonderful morning. It's a great morning. This is the last, I think so, right? Let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Yes, this is the last full week where there's no baseball involved, because next week there will be baseball involved. Pitchers and catchers will be reporting.
That's true. Yeah, when we're on here next week, we will be talking about Super Bowl will be done, and we'll be 2 days away from pitchers and catchers.
That's
cool stuff.
That's wonderful. I'm ready. I'm so ready for this.
I'm ready. I don't know if the Pirates are ready, but yeah, I'm ready.
I hope they're not, but it feels like they might. But no, honestly though, think about that. Really think about that. I mean, spring is nearing. The days are getting a little bit longer. I think it's getting kind of warmer. I think so. Baseball's returning.
It's getting warmer. I went golfing. I went golfing yesterday.
Well, there you go.
Oh yeah, it's getting warmer.
Yeah. So it's a really good time right now.
Yeah, I didn't golf very well. It was my first time out this year, but I was technically golfing yesterday.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Technically golfing yesterday. That's the headline of this show. But I guess into the baseball world. Pirates world, not a whole lot. We're going to talk about some rumors today. Maybe an implication of another signing. But Corbin Burnes was traded to the Orioles. That's
huge.
That's some pretty big news. That hits home as well.
Blockbuster. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll call it a blockbuster, but it was a move.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a blockbuster. I mean, that's the biggest trade of the offseason. Right?
That's fair. I think, yeah.
I mean, you've got a Cy Young winner going to a team who probably, I mean, they're the favorites to win the American League now. They may have been the favorites before this, but adding Corbin Burnes to that rotation, that's what they were missing. That was the missing piece for Baltimore, is that ace. And they got him. And they got him without really doing any damage whatsoever to their current team and probably their future teams. They dealt a, I mean, DL Hall's got really good stuff, but I don't know if DL Hall's anything but a relief pitcher. Joey Ortiz, he's fine, but I mean, there's no guarantee he's a productive major leaguer. And then a future comp pick.
Yeah,
they did a good job. I was bashing the Orioles about a week or two ago, and I was like, if I were an Orioles fan right now, I have no idea. I would be so mad. They've got this stacked team of young talent, and they just went out there and they did nothing all off season. Well, this was something. This was a big something that they went out there and did. So yeah, Orioles fans should be happy right now. They're in a good spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know if they were the favorites beforehand. You could certainly imagine them being the favorites right now. But this is definitely a big move for them. This is the move that certainly solidifies them to be in that category, because we know how young they are. We know how talented they are. We know how deep their farm is everywhere, right? I mean, the offense is definitely really good. The pitching's there. I mean, first off, we've talked about the bullpen, I think, for the past 2 years. We know that bullpen's really good. They've just needed that dude in the rotation, especially if you're thinking playoffs. They have enough to get them through the season, right? They have that guy that's going to take them into the playoffs. This is what that move does. I felt like they had enough to get them to the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to look scary for the playoffs with Corbin Burnes. So, and you hitting on the head here too. What did they give up? Really, think about what did they give up? I mean, as a Brewers fan, I don't know if you'll be like totally upset about this. Like it's 1 year of Corbin Burnes in that aspect, right? Knowing it's 1 year of Corbin Burnes. You can be upset that you've traded Corbin Burnes, so now the 2024 season is looking kind of suspect. But for the return of Corbin Burnes, you can say it's not terrible. Like you might not be totally upset, but like as an Orioles fan, you've given up pieces that you're never going to use, likely ever going to use, because of how deep. Like this is what we're talking about. You have worked so hard to build this up that you're able to trade pieces that you're not going to use to get a Cy Young winner.
Yeah, the Orioles have just stockpiled talent, right? I mean, Joey Ortiz is a top 100 prospect. He's a shortstop. But guess what? They have the number 1 prospect in baseball, who's also a shortstop, who is just looking like he's going to be an absolute superstar. So it's like, hey, Joey Ortiz, completely expendable. And if Joey Ortiz can help you get a Cy Young winner, then you trade Joey Ortiz because you don't need him. So, yeah, I mean, hell of a trade by the Orioles. If I'm an Orioles fan, I'm pretty excited right now. Your team just got bought by a couple of billionaires, so you hope that they're in the mood to spend some money. You just acquired Corbin Burnes. You've got a really good team going into next year. Yeah, Orioles fans, they've been through a lot these last handful of years. So that is the thing. The Orioles, obviously the Pirates fans are kind of looking at the Orioles as like, this is what we want to become, right? Mm-hmm. Like Orioles went through a rough rebuild, like tough stretch of just awful baseball. But in doing so, they acquired a lot of really good guys and developed a lot of really young talent. So they hit with a lot of their prospects, especially on the offensive side. I don't know if the Pirates are going to hit so far. I mean, the Pirates haven't produced any of those Adley, Rushman, Gunnar, Henderson, Jackson Holiday type guys yet. And the Orioles have just been like spewing them out year after year. So it's Orioles definitely have done better their rebuild than the Pirates. Let's just say that. Now they started a little bit earlier too, but the Pirates don't have any players in their system on the offensive side that can do what these Orioles guys can do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's tough to. If you're a Pirates fan, like, don't look at the Orioles and say that's what you're trying to go after, because like it's not there, it's not happening. But let me try to take a step back also. What the Orioles are doing is like an anomaly. I mean, they have, like you said, they've almost perfectly executed this flawlessly. So it's one of those things too. It's like it's hard to mimic and replicate something that's almost impossible to be done. So like that's a very high standard, but the issue is like the Pirates really aren't close, because the major league talent of the Orioles is, like you just said, it's a team that could have been fighting for the AL East title like right now, and then they added Corbin Burnes without touching much of their prospect capital that's worth anything, and like they're still the best farm system in the league in the whole MLB. So like that's what we're talking about here. Imagine, okay, you have Ono Cruz at second, and so say Peguero was like the top rated second baseman and just a stud, and they traded Nick Gonzalez and something else, like you're talking about this fashion here, to get Corbin Burnes. Like that's what we're talking about. But the Pirates have 2 guys that you're not even sure of are going to make it for second base, like ever. You hope, right? Like that's where we're at. So the difference here. But what I want to do is I want to flip it over to the Milwaukee Brewers side, because we have been talking about the Brewers, and it looks as if the Brewers maybe aren't going to retool. I mean, we've been hearing that they're kind of leaning towards keeping Corbin Burnes. If they're going to keep Corbin Burnes, that makes sense. They're going to try to go ahead and see what they can do for 2024. Maybe the deadline, they make the decision, right? Well, the decision's been made. They traded Corbin Burnes. So now it makes me feel like, okay, the retool is definitely on. So whoever now at this point has like a 1-year deal left is definitely on the table. The NL Central just kind of opened up even more, because this was the team that won it last year, right? 92 wins, I believe it was, right, Jim?
somewhere in that area.
If you don't know, I think it was 92.
I don't know. Yeah,
but yeah, like now the NL Central is wide open.
Yeah, and I looked when the trade, as soon as the trade went down, I was curious to just see like what Vegas thought of it. Like, what does Vegas now think of the Milwaukee Brewers? And before this, the Brewers were supposed to, I think, finish in second or third place, but they were going to be over 500. They were still going to be a decent team. Right now, after trading Corbin Burnes, their win total is down to 76.5. So Vegas doesn't have a whole lot of confidence that Milwaukee is much of a contending team anymore.
Yeah.
Now at 76.5 in this division, if I were betting on that, I'd probably still go over, just looking at this Milwaukee team. But their pitching staff isn't great at all anymore. It's actually kind of similar to the Pirates situation where you've got like one really good established starting pitcher that you can rely on, and then they just kind of pieced it together with other guys. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think you've got to put the Pirates and I don't think the Pirates and the Brewers are that far apart right now when it comes to the talent on their team.
And like, it
who
also
knows with
depends on
Churio? Yeah, like if it depends on who Churio is. If Jackson Churio is a stud, then there's maybe a difference maker. But other than that, I'm looking at these two teams, and the Brewers don't look that great on paper.
No, I mean, you're absolutely correct. But I think the other thing too is like, does this also set off another, I want to say flurry of trades? I don't think they have like that many to be a flurry, but like Adames, is he gone? It
I mean,
sounds like
they
they're
just
listening
said,
on to him.
yeah, that's a good point. If
Um,
Adames goes,
right.
then that changes things even more.
And then Devin Williams, is he gone? Probably. So it's like, I don't know if they're finished yet. So they could dip down a little bit less what they have. But I'm with you. Like, there's now some similarities to like them and the Pirates, But it just, we've seen what the Reds have been doing. You see the Cardinals are getting better, right? And like when I look at the landscape, like the Cardinals' future still doesn't look strong. Like, I get that. I mean, their farm isn't that good. It's still there, but it's not that good. Their major leagues team still kind of suspect, but they definitely got better this year. The Reds, they look kind of, not saying Orioles-ish, but you look at them, the major league team has talent. The farm's still there. The Cubs have a lot of talent in the farm. The major league team it's already better. They haven't done a whole lot this offseason. It's funny how you say like the Orioles, like as a Cubs fan, I'd also kind of be upset how this offseason has gone. It's not over yet.
Oh yeah.
Bellinger could still land there, and things are different now. But like there's definitely up and coming. And the Brewers here, it's like they're tearing down like everyone's just like at that 80 mark range. Like they're all right around there. Like no one's really, really good. They're all just sitting right there. And it's just like, what a year to capitalize. And it's just kind of funny because really no one's doing it.
No, I mean, you mentioned the Cubs. The Cubs have signed Imanaga. That's really all they've done up to this point, and they got a new coach, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a Cubs
great
fan,
signing, by the way, great signing.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, Imanaga signing's good, but like, yeah, you're the Cubs. You expect to do something, and like you mentioned, this division's wide open. If there's anybody in a position to just break it open, it's the Cubs. Like they've got the money to do it. They're really the only team in the division where if they wanted to, they could just say, shit, we're going to go out there and spend $250 million next year. They have that capability.
Mine.
So it's like they just haven't done it. Adding Bellinger definitely makes that team, a little bit better. But at the same time, you still don't. Bellinger's not the guy he used to be. I think he's still a really good player, but he's not the guy he used to be. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting season. I think the Pirates are putting themselves in a position where if they can still add a couple more pieces here, you've got to feel better about their chances heading into the year. So I think, up to this point, the offseason hasn't been good, but they're still in a spot where if they can add a couple more people, they could compete in this division because it's not that good.
100% agree. And that's been the problem. Like, that's why we've been pounding the table on this so much, is because they certainly can. I'm not saying they needed to make that deal, right? But like, if the Pirates were to add a Corbin Burnes to this team right now, do you not sit and say, okay, you know what? Like, they're Corbin Burnes, Mitch Keller. I know there's some suspect pieces afterwards, but like, I feel more comfortable. I feel more confident that they could fill that out, number 3 through 5, with all the parts they have. Cruz coming back, right? Kutch is here. First base is still kind of, I don't know what's going on there, but you know what? Maybe something happens. Maybe make a trade the deadline. But like, it's enough to really keep him there. And you know, come July, you're looking and saying, you know what, that they can make the push and make something happen. But they just haven't done that. They haven't taken the reins and said, we are going to compete. They said, yeah, we're going to compete. That's, you know, like, okay, that doesn't sound real confident. Yeah, you're saying it, but you're not really showing it. You know what I mean? And but again, that's what's kind of ironic. Like, the Reds have done some stuff. They've certainly improved. They've surrounded themselves with some better pieces, but it was kind of rumored they were Ellen Dylan Cease, and you know, they're trying really in on Sonny Gray and stuff. Like, it seemed as if they were going to get that dude in the rotation as well, and they haven't done that. You know, the Cubs rumor that they're in on Ohtani, right? Like, they were going to spend this offseason and they didn't. So again, like, no one has really gone out there and like taken the throat of the NL Central, said this is going to be mine, which still does give the Pirates a chance. But in my aspect, right, my point of view is like, they're still down here where everyone's still a little bit above them where things stand.
Yeah, I think that's a good assessment there. Pit City What says, just get another starting pitcher and we'll have a winning team. I mean, it depends on who that starting pitcher is, right? Melman says, I'd be all in for Luzardo. Like, if you go out there and you get Luzardo, then yeah, you're talking about a team that is certainly capable of finishing in the middle of the NL Central, which is going to be right around that 500 mark.
Not a Brad Keller.
Not a Brad Keller. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be opposed to Brad Keller just based off of what they have. But like, I mean, I think there's still a little bit better options out there. But yeah, I think they were linked to a couple people yesterday. We're seeing a lot of Michael A. Taylor, smoke here lately. We're seeing a lot of Gary Sanchez smoke. Tony Kemp was a name that was brought up last night too by Robert Murray. Tony Kemp's not good anymore. But then, the more I kind of got thinking, like, if Tony Kemp pushes G1 Bay off of the roster, then Tony Kemp may be the better option there. No, I don't like Tony Kemp. Don't get me wrong, but I also don't like G1 Bay.
But I get what you're saying.
It's like,
yeah.
He's not a good baseball player anymore. But let's kind of dive into that. I think those guys in particular, Michael A. Taylor, Tony Kemp, Gary Sanchez, those are the names we've seen the Pirates be tied to. There's still some starting pitching out there. I think out of the available guys, Clevenger is certainly the most talented when it comes to players in the Pirates price range, just assuming that Montgomery and Snell are not in that.
Right.
So there's still moves to be made. We're 9 games out from pitchers and catchers reporting, and there are still people out there who can help this team.
Yeah. And it's weird because it's like, it's kind of sad. And that's just the state of baseball. Like, I get it is what it is, right? But like, it is February 5th, and there really is a lot of free agent stuff left out there. But to the positive point, it is February 5th, and there's a lot of free agents like still out there that can help this team get better. And so they still have the ability to improve and feel better about this team competing. And I'm with you, man. Like, those 3 names, I think all 3 of them to many different degrees make the team better. Tony Kemp, whatever, right? Like I'm with you on that. Like, he's just really not that good. But to me, it's funny. Like, he's kind of like the Jared Dyson. the way I say that is, I think he helps a playoff team, but I don't think he helps a team trying to get to the playoffs, if that makes sense. So, like, I don't know if the fit for the Pirates really makes a whole lot of sense, but like Tony Kemp in the playoffs, like he could have a moment for sure with that type of speed. You know what he does and stuff like that. He could have a moment, but I don't think he's going to get you to the playoffs. So, but like, let's start with, we've talked a little bit about Michael A. Taylor. Let's start and talk about Gary Sanchez, because that's a name that's crept up this week and multiple times. I don't know if anything is like actually heating up or going to come together, but we talked about adding a third catcher. We talked about like Kurt Casale last week. Like those like mid-tier catchers, well, actually like kind of below mid-tier, but just the ones that can kind of supplement the catching depth, help out if Henry Davis doesn't. This is different. And I say this too because I didn't expect by any means to be attached to a Gary Sanchez.
Yeah.
He's not the Gary Sanchez of like the old Yankees, but like it's still Gary Sanchez.
When he can still hit. Like he showed you last year, he is certainly still capable of hitting. 111 weighted runs created plus. Defensively, the metrics like him at catcher. Now
that's different.
This is where catching metrics kind of are weird, right? Because I think we've all seen Gary Sanchez catch, and it's like, is he really a good catcher? Because if he was, he wouldn't be getting like run out of cities and be playing minor league baseball and getting DFA'd 3 times, right? So I'm a little like people bringing up Fangraph's defensive metrics on Gary Sanchez. And I'm like, let's pump the brakes there a little bit. Like maybe he's good at framing, right? But it seems like teams don't really like him when it comes to any other aspect. Here's my idea. And I put it out on Twitter a little bit ago, but like, can Gary Sanchez play first base? Seriously, like if Gary Sanchez can play first base, then and catch, like if he can do a little bit of both, then I really, really like this, right? If you're signing him as just like a backup catcher, or you're signing him to just split time with Henry Davis, so Davis can kind of move around if you need him to, then I'm all in for this Gary Sanchez signing. Let me just say that. Like if we can bring in Gary Sanchez, I'm for it. He makes the team better, especially offensively. Like you're going from right now you're going from backup catcher Jason DeLay, who's got like a 50 weighted runs created plus, 60 maybe. Like he's a bad hitter, right? He's a bad hitter. He's a decent backup catcher in the majors, but he's a bad hitter. Right. Gary Sanchez automatically makes that catching position kind of like a strength offensively for you. And yeah, if he has the ability to be versatile and also play first base every now and then, maybe against lefties, then I like this a lot.
I'm sure you saw it, but to put it out there, he has 4 total career innings at first.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he has not played first base much in his career.
So I just say, because I didn't look, I was curious. I'm sure people listening want to hear. So yeah, it's 4 total career innings at first,
but 0 errors in those 4 innings.
There you go. But it's something worth like wondering about. Like, can he? Because that makes that's icing on the cake. Like that makes the move even better right now because of what can transpire this upcoming year and like what you see at first base already, right? But like my mind's kind of, I don't know if it's to the same level, and of course the other one's way more athletic, whatever. But like the loss of Endy, like suddenly almost becomes mitigated. Like you're not really thinking, because if you add a Gary Sanchez, they're different players, but it's almost like, okay, it's Endy and Henry again. Like it's Gary and Henry. They're gonna split time back there, play around again. Like we don't know if Gary can play first. Endy could, right? Of course, you had the DH there as well. So like you can mix things and move things and maneuver it to get both of them adequate plate appearance or adequate time behind the plate. And that's what this does. And again, it bumps down Jason DeLay a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen. Like if they're going to carry 3 catchers, I doubt it. With Endy and Henry, you can kind of see it because there's more flexibility, I feel like. But this definitely makes that catching position much stronger, and you feel comfortable. Like we talk about starting pitching, like if adding a Corbin Burnes, you now feel comfortable with that rotation. Like now I feel comfortable again with starting catching because we're not sure about Henry Davis. And I'm good and comfortable that Delay is a good enough backup. Now, like if it ends up that Henry Davis can't catch and like he's just awful behind the plate and it's Gary and Delay, I'm cool with that. Like I feel good
Yeah,
now.
if Jason Delay is like your depth now at catcher, where he's your third string catcher, I feel a lot better. Yep, I agree.
I really want this signing to happen. And
I would
since
say
it
when
is
it comes,
February 5th,
yeah,
I was just gonna say since it is February 5th, and doesn't seem like there's much demand out there, like it could be a very reasonable signing for the Pirates.
it could be reasonable. I don't think it would cost a whole lot. And I say, depending on if he can play first, then do it. Like, do it now. If he can't play first, I'd still do it, but it just offers a little bit less in terms of like versatility. But if he can play first base, yeah, make this happen. I would say like he's not my number one target right now, but he's number 3. He'd be my number 3 target at the present moment.
I think that's fair. I think he's more of a luxury, but like a really good fitting luxury.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like they probably don't need. They don't need Gary Sanchez, but he would be helpful. Yeah.
Right. So then let's go to what I think is probably your number 1 move. Again, it's still rumored. Is that Michael A. Taylor? Is he number 1?
I would say another starting pitcher is my number 1 move, but Michael A. Taylor would be number 2 to that. I've talked about it many times. Michael A. Taylor's bat isn't anything to necessarily be desired, but the glove is so good, and the Pirates are still kind of without that true center fielder. They don't have one on their roster. Jack Suwinski showed that he's capable of playing the position, but I think if you could just say, "Hey, Jack Suwinski, you're now a part-time center fielder, but you're going to really you're going to play right field. You don't need to focus a whole lot on the defensive side of the ball. Just focus on mashing, right? What I say yesterday, last week or 2 weeks ago? Just focus on being better than Brian Reynolds. That's all you got to do."
There it is.
But no, I think Michael Taylor, you bring him in, you kind of that defensive outfield, all of a sudden is pretty good. With Reynolds and Suwinski in the corners, Taylor roaming center field. Taylor also brings that, some pop from the right-hand side that the Pirates don't have. They're lacking. He's going to strike out. He's not going to get on base a ton. Like here, he's going to bat 8th or 9th in the lineup, but from a defensive standpoint, he's worth bringing in, and he pushes some people off of this roster and back into that depth spot, right? Like Palacios probably starts the year in AAA if you bring in Michael A. Taylor, which is probably where he should be. And I love Joshua Palacios, but probably shouldn't be on the majors and on a team that wants to contend. So it extends the lineup a little bit more, and it adds that it puts Jack Suwinski in a position that he probably is just better at.
Yeah. Again, to say it, like I think that signing just makes everyone else better, and that's why it's good. It's not so much that Michael A. Taylor is this great player. He's good enough, but it puts everyone else in a better position to make the team better. And so that's why I'm with you on that as well. I mean, honestly, like if you were to bring in Gary Sanchez and Michael A. Taylor on this team, you look at the lineup and like it's not that bad. It's really not. Again, like Cruz is coming back. Hopefully he's something. I'm not ready to say he's going to be a superstar, but like if he can come back and be something, like if he can show he's an everyday player and he can hit. I mean, there's already Reynolds there. You got Kutch coming back, right? Brian, hopefully there's still something with him. What we saw the second half, right? Like you keep looking at this lineup a little bit, and like it's getting a little bit deeper now. Jack Suwinski, right? Better than Brian Reynolds, like you say.
Yeah.
But again, but also like now Jack Suwinski's in right field where he did stack up pretty well, statistically and such. And, take that pressure off of being in center. Michael A. Taylor's in center. Now your pitching staff gets a little bit better because the outfield's better, and you already have Brian Hayes at third. So that pitching staff's going to be better than what they probably should be to begin with. So it's like, yeah, like adding him just makes everyone else a little bit better. And that's why it's a really good signing.
Yeah. I Taylor, I think, is a must sign at this point. And you got to go out there and get a starting pitcher. And whether that's via a free agency signing, whether that's via a trade, like, they still got to go out there and get one more person. I don't think you can rely on Ortiz, Falter, Priester, Contreras to fill out 2 spots in that rotation right off the get-go.
Yep.
You gotta get one more. I'm comfortable giving 1 spot to the winner of those 4 guys, but you gotta go out there and get one more major league starting pitcher. Like, you just have to. If you want to be serious about contending, you got to go out there and get somebody. Because right now, this team has Mitch Keller and 6, 7 number 5 starters, basically. Like, that'll get you through a year, but it's not going to put you in a position to win a lot of baseball games.
Yep. And to kind of, there's already people out there that, well, it doesn't make sense. Skeens is there. Jones is there. JT's coming back. Burrow's coming back. Like, look at all the pitchers coming back. We don't have, look, they're going to block people. You're going to block people. It's just like, things will work themselves out. Like, why JT's going to be back? Why Burrow's going to be back? Because injuries happen. Things happen that you don't plan for. So if you happen to have too many pitchers and all these guys are coming back, you don't have room. Well, for one, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be too good, right? The other thing is, like, you can also trade. Like, you still need to get through until those guys come back, right? So go out there and get some of that will. And if all of them come back and everyone's playing well and everyone's healthy and you're just looking at too many assets, then trade them. Trade somebody. You can do that too, right? Like, if Skeens is just tearing it up and you want to give him the call because he's going to make ourselves better, but you just have too many guys, then trade somebody. Trade Marco Gonzalez at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and do it. But you've now put yourself in the position that you can do it. And Marco Gonzalez allowed you to stay afloat until Skeens was ready to come up and dominate. But what if Skeens isn't ready, right? What if Jared Jones isn't ready? What if Burrows has some setbacks with his injuries? What if JT has there's so many question marks. So, like, add yourself some assurance until you're ready to make the decision then. So, yeah, like, for everyone that's worried about, blocking the future, well, also let's point out the 4 guys you talked about: Quinn Priester, Roansy, Luis Ortiz. Like that was the future for years ago. Are we worried about blocking them right now?
No.
So, right. There's no guarantee those guys you talk about right now are going to be anything either. But yeah, I'm with you. Honestly, like, if this team seriously got, say it is a Clevenger, right? You got a Clevenger, you got a Michael A. Taylor, and you got Gary Sanchez. Like, none of those are like premier free agents. None of those is like, oh wow, you got Cody Bellinger. Oh wow, you got Blake Snell. But just those 3, and you're still probably hovering, or at least right under the $100 million payroll threshold. I like the team now.
If they go out there and they get those 3 guys, Clevenger, Sanchez, and Taylor, they have now put their money where their mouth is. Like, when they say that they're planning on competing this year, that I can get on board with it. I'll say, you know what? Offseason, probably not what I would have done, but they figured out a way to do it and to go into the season with a competent looking team. And, like, you get those 3 guys and all of a sudden you're right in the thick of things.
Absolutely. I think the way to view it is, things didn't go as planned, but they didn't use that as an excuse. Like, they had to shift to plan B, had to shift to plan C, but they still had other plans and they executed them. Opposed to just saying, well, we were in on some of these pitchers. They told us no. So we said, I guess we're not going to get any. You know what I mean? Like, they shifted, and I'm sure like their plan wasn't going to get Clevenger and Gary Sanchez and Michael A. Taylor, but because the other plans didn't work out, they still executed. That's how I look at it. And they still ensure themselves to be in a position that they could potentially compete or whatnot. So yeah, like I don't think this is like the answer this offseason. I don't think anyone's pounding the table. Like this is who we need to be good, but they didn't stay content and satisfied after they missed out. So I'm with you. Those three, I look at this team and I say, let's go. This team can fight. Let's see what happens till July. And if at that point in time, like you're still in it, you need to add some more pieces. Like you put yourself in a position that you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, Pitt City. What? Pitt City. What? Nice. Early morning donation there. Thanks for the content. Fingers crossed for 500 this year. Yeah, I think 500 is well within reach at this point. Like if some things go well, and if you do those three things, then I think 500 is like your minimum expectation.
It sets the bar differently. And again, my biggest thing is it mitigates some risk, that variability, right? The floor just increases. Maybe your ceiling's right about the same, but you just risen the floor.
Yeah. Chortle also wants to add here, for the record, Swinski grays out very well with outs above average at center field. I'm aware of that. When it comes to my eyes above average, though, he doesn't. I think you got to kind of look at both.
You started counting that arm as well. That doesn't go into outs above average.
Yeah, the arm's not great. Which means it's not going to play well in right field either. But I feel like you don't have to use it as much over there.
Right. Agree.
And Michael A. Taylor is on a whole other level. Like when we're talking about center field defense, the guy has
very much
so. That guy has won a Gold Glove, and he could win more.
So there's the rumors of this week. So I mean, I guess the good thing is like there's still rumors out there for the Pirates. You know, it would be different if it was still like completely radio silent and you're not hearing anything. So you're still very much questioning how this is going to shape up going into pitches and catches reporting next week. So it seems as if seems like the mindset is they're not content. They are going out there to try to add. So that's good. That's good to know. What transpires, we'll find out. But another move that actually happened, and this is one also because there was like some potential link right to the Pirates. It's Carlos Santana. A lot people maybe speculated maybe bring back Santana. He loved it here, right? It's just a good fit. He was a really good first baseman defensively last year. The bat was okay. Like it was good enough. The defense held everything up. I mean, still close to being like a 3-WAR player last year, all said and done. So yeah, like what if they brought back or Santana? And that's not going to happen because Carlos Santana signed with the Twins officially this weekend for a 1-year, $5.25 million deal. Not a lot of money at all, Jim. Not a lot of money at all.
Yeah, I think it was Jason Mackey was speculating earlier in the offseason that Santana maybe played his way out of the Pirates' price range, and he ends up getting basically $2 million more than Rowdy Tellez. Tellez probably has like the bigger upside. Like let's be real. Like Tellez is certainly capable, I think, of hitting like 30 homers. I don't think he's going to do it, but he did it 2 years ago. Santana just doesn't have that in him anymore. Santana is probably going to give you the higher floor, right? I mean, Tellez is certainly Tellez is also capable of going out there and putting up a -1 WAR season, where I don't think you're going to see that at Santana. So it would have been nice to have brought him back. The two of them, I think, could have made a pretty decent first base platoon. If we were going to bring back Santana, I would have probably just rather not brought in Tellez at all, for being honest. But sounds like we're stuck with Tellez. As of right now, he's going to be getting the bulk of the at-bats at first base. One of our new bloggers, Frank, wrote a nice article there about what you should expect from Rowdy Tellez this coming season. So make sure you check that out, northshore9.com, which we've got new bloggers, by the way. 4 new bloggers.
Yep.
4 new bloggers on northshore9.com. So a lot of content coming there too. Yeah, I'm not going to get too upset about not signing Carlos Santana. At this point, I think he's better used as like the short side platoon at first base. Like I don't know if you want to play him every day like the Pirates did last year. And honestly, if going back to our earlier conversation, if Gary Sanchez can play first, I'd rather have him.
That's fair. Kind of. So I guess here's my viewpoint on everything with the Carlos Santana. In a vacuum, if you miss out, we'll say miss out for this. If you miss out on getting Carlos Santana, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. Okay. Again, he is aging. Like we liked the signing last year. We thought there was definitely reason to believe that he's not as bad as he was in 2022. You know, with the shift being gone and such, like you can certainly see him being better. And you know what, Jim? He was. We nailed that. He was better. But he's also now a year older. Like he's an aging vet. He's one that's shown that he is good, gets along great with the clubhouse, you know, and defensively he's really good as well. And I think that's important this year. Also, that's one we get to here. But like you can see, like you could also naturally see a decline because like he is aging. Like I'm not saying that you're going to sign him and get what you got last year. So like you could probably see a deficit in his production. That's safe to assume. So like if you're not going to get Santana, that's fine. I think what maybe happened here is, and this isn't like fault them, right? This is just rationally thinking what probably happened. But they probably thought he was going to get a bigger deal. And they knew they needed something and they knew what their budget was, right? So Rowdy Tellez was available. We can get him at this price. Let's lock that in so we have the flexibility for other pieces. I think they just jumped on Tellez quite early. Like I honestly feel, because everyone's talking about why would you do this for just $2 million? I kind of feel like if the Pirates knew he would sign for $5.25 million, they might have made that deal. I'm just assuming. Again, I can't say anything, right? But I almost feel like maybe if that's what they knew it was going to happen very, very early in the offseason, while they still had many other pieces to fill, that was more of a need than a luxury, maybe they don't jump on Tellez. So maybe that's just not evaluating the market as well as needed, which I can understand.
Could have been, I mean, also Santana not evaluating the market as well.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You don't know that too.
I mean, maybe they offered him like a $5 or $6 or $7 million deal.
Yeah.
And he was like, no.
And because I would have thought, I would have expected Santana to sign for more than he did. Right. I would have thought especially after the season that he had a pretty good year. You know, I don't think like $8 million out of the question for a player like that. And he may have been expecting the same, but maybe at the end of the day, it just wasn't out there.
Right.
Maybe the Pirates offered him, 1 year, $6 million, and he was like, "Nah, I can do better than that," and he didn't.
Yep, and it like this isn't to try to push anything into the mouths of the Pirates, but like
this
I
is
could
just
see that scenario happening.
Yeah, pure speculation.
And right, so it is what it is. At this point in time, that's what happened. But what I'll get to is you say about Gary Sanchez, and like I think it's still good, but like I'm also. It does make me nervous that like Rowdy Tellez and like a Gary Sanchez is your first baseman because again, like with Cruz coming back, like that is also why you got Carlos Santana make a whole lot of sense because we talk how like Michael A. Taylor makes other players better. Like a Carlos Santana could make an O'Neal Cruz better because we understand he's a very talented player at shortstop. But we also understand some of his issues, and it's with throwing. And Carlos Santana could potentially help him be a better shortstop. I'm not totally convinced that like Gary Sanchez and Rowdy Tellez are going to do that for O'Neal Cruz. So that's a little bit where my worry is on that aspect. I think as a team, it makes him better, but like Carlos Santana might not be as like the ceiling's not there like Rowdy Tellez you're talking about. Totally understand. The floor is definitely there, and I think he also makes Cruz better at his position where you don't really get that now. That's just the downfall on that side. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a good point. I mean, Cruz definitely has shown throughout his whole career, minors, majors, that the throwing accuracy is. I wouldn't say it's a problem, right? I mean, it hasn't become a problem yet, but it's certainly a weak point in his game, right? And having like an experienced first baseman who's good over there is only going to help him. I mean, you saw kind of how he was when you put first basemen over there who aren't real first basemen, and it causes some issues. So yeah, maybe having somebody over there who's a little bit more consistent helps save a couple errors per year. I'm not making a first base decision though, just based off of what if my shortstop throws a couple balls in the dirt though. Like
That's fair. Yeah.
That's not why I'm signing a first baseman. Like just catch the ball. Like at the end of the day, you're a pro. Just figure out how to do it. So
promise, Jim, we've seen plenty of pros not be able to figure out how to do it in Pittsburgh.
Like just figure it out. Figure out how to catch the 98-mile-an-hour ball in the dirt.
Okay. But you're right. I mean, you're right. We've just seen that it doesn't happen.
Yeah. But at any rate, if you're O'Neal Cruz, just don't throw the ball in the dirt. Throw the ball at the guy's chest. Make it easy on him.
There you go. But let's say, like, at any rate, though, like, I'm with you too. Like, I'm not worried that they missed out on Carlos Santana, but I do just feel as if I don't think the Pirates probably said we need to save $2 million. Rowdy Tellez is the better value with the $2 million less dollars. I truly probably feel as if both, like you said, both parties involved in this, also Santana and the Pirates, felt he was going to get much more. So they probably jumped on Rowdy Tellez at that price point to lock up that position, almost like the Ali Sanchez thing. Like they knew the issue here is go get Ali Sanchez. So at least we have that comfortability there. And then it was like, oh, we could have had Santana for 5.25. Didn't think that would happen.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would, like, if I had to choose between the two, I'd rather have Santana.
Yes. So, with wrapping up the Santana news here, anything else that we want to dive into, talk about?
I was trying to think of anything else that we missed. I don't know if we have. I think we talked about just about everything.
Pretty sure. So then, let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
Let's enjoy this Monday.
Yep.
We are now, what was it, 9 days? Officially 9 days from pitchers and catchers.
9 days from pitchers and catchers. Yep.
So enjoy it. 19 days until the first spring training game. Also, that means 19 days for us being in Bradenton for the first spring training game in Bradenton. Oh, I guess no, 20 days.
The weather in Bradenton, I think the week so far, I mean, this extended forecast is going to be like in the 70s. So we need to pump those numbers up a bit. Let's get them into the 80s.
Pump up them rookie numbers.
Yeah. Those are rookie numbers. We got to pump those numbers.
Yeah.
So, Sun, let's go, Sun. Do your job. Heat up that Florida coast so that it's like 80 degrees when we get down there.
I've unloaded some aerosol cans already. I'm trying, Jim.
Yeah. We need that hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah. Wide open. All right. Let's definitely get out of here then. Appreciate everyone for watching. As always, we'll be back this week for NS9 Live. Yeah, baseball's coming. So see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.